Oh, look at this, chess 357. Someone I've played a lot of times. Here, let's start off with e4. Say hello. He's someone who follows me on Twitch and maybe on YouTube. So we got a Sicilian. I'm playing an open Sicilian. He went for an e6 Sicilian. Could be a Taimanov or a Caro-Kann, but it's either a Taimanov or a Khan variation, not a Caro-Kann. But it's neither. It's this knight of 6 line. I don't usually play that. Not sure why. If I push this pawn forward, his knight comes here. No, his knight doesn't go there. That's why they don't play it. Queen's guarding that square. Oh, has he got some weird check here? He does. Well, I get a lot of development. Knight's still not coming here. Queen can take it. Knight here to here. I would chase that queen away. Well, I don't know. The queen could still come forward. The bishop here. Yeah, sadly, this is going to be leading to a lot of exchanges. But I'd rather take there than let him take. So let's get castled. Going to put a rook opposite the queen. Like this. Okay, wise decision. He steps back. He can start pushing those pawns forward now. He never put a rook on the b file too. It's a little bit surprising. And he never castled. So the one thing I can say about my position is that his pawn structure is locked in his light squared bishop. There we go. Now the knight is not coming to the square at all. I suppose I could have brought my knight out there, but since I was going to bring it there anyway. But anyway, that's what I did. Let's see. You know, there's almost a setup for a yeah, he stopped that idea. There's almost a setup for a Greek gift sacrifice attack here. I just have to, I would have to trade that bishop for that knight. So I was thinking of putting it here, get rid of the knight. But he stopped that idea with this pawn push, which is a good move. Threatens a fork. Asks me where I'm going to put my bishop. My light squared bishop, he says, is not such a great piece either. So he's got two defenders. If I move the bishop out of the way, I'll have two attackers. Okay, blocks that. Let's expand on the queen side here. I think I would like to encourage him to push the e-pawn forward so that I get this square for my knight. Yeah, this is going to lead to exchanges. Which way do I want to do this? So if I push this pawn forward, oh, I could take back here. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do it this way. So I have a choice of how to take back. I wasn't sure if I wanted to open up the A file and allow a trade there. And I think I don't, in fact, want to trade there. Okay, he's bringing his bishop out. Maybe he's thinking of pushing the d-pawn forward now instead of the e-pawn. Asking me to do something with this bishop. I have a good answer to that. Gonna just drop the bishop back, I guess. I wanted to defend this with the queen, bring the rook over, or maybe bring the bishop out. Not sure. I have to be careful how I maneuver my pieces here. Maybe there's also the idea of the sacrifice there. When the queen takes, this knight will be hanging. After bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes. And he can move it or he can defend it with the bishop. He can't easily defend it with the king. I do get a check here. And I do have this bishop pointing in that direction. Chess 357 is getting low on time. So I moved it out of the way. So I take, pawn takes, queen takes, threatens mate. The knight is not there. What does he do about that? He pushes this pawn forward, and the knight comes in, threatening mate again. I think it looks pretty good. I think it was a mistake to retreat his to retreat his knight like that. And I can't go back to defend. Yeah, and then I thought this move was good. Also threatening mate. That doesn't help. He resigned. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Good game. Just a quick look at the analysis board here. If we back up, I could have pushed the pawn forward. defended with the queen, but then this hangs. So I think I win material on almost all the lines there. So I guess that was a good sacrifice. Probably he helped me when he retreated his knight. This move probably is the one that helped me. Anyway, let's see if we can play a rapid game now. Black again. Oh, Eugene BB 2004. Let's see what he does. Knight F3. Could be going for a reti opening or just a way to get into a queen's gambit. He does the dual knights. Okay, I'll put a pawn in the center. Don't ask me twice. Now he puts a pawn in the center. So I could play c5. It'd be like a queen's gambit reversed, where he's played a Chigorin defense. The knight out here indicates he might want to play with e4 or with the bishop to f4 or to g5. This would be the Richter Veresov attack, and this would be the I forget what I called it. So let's play a quiet move and see how he wants to set up. Yeah, he's playing that move. So that's an interesting way to play. It's not like the London system because he's got the knight here. It gives it its own unique character. He always has eyes of the knight coming in here. I think in this particular position it's not too dangerous because you have the queen check and various things, but you do have to keep an eye on that idea. Let's develop the knight. The queen check, I'm talking about the queen check here. If I wasn't clear there, now this is not totally clear. Let's think about this. Yeah, maybe the knight move was a mistake. Because the check is coming very fast. I didn't get castled, and I can't play the bishop here now. So if I check, he can't block with the bishop. He can block with the pawn. Let's go ahead and do the check. Yeah, I think before, until I played this move, I had the response knight to a3, defending the knight to a6, defending the c7 square, and that's okay. But this one's not so good. He can play bishop c7. Yeah, probably he's just going to trade everything off now. Yeah, let's prepare to take back with the bishop. So I've got the bishop pair against the queen. Usually not a good contest, but we'll see what we can do. I think I will keep the bishop pair. Yeah, this bishop is doing a good job defending here, stopping the queen from coming out. This bishop will drop back here, chase his knight away, or try to threaten his knight. See what he does. If he pushes the f-pawn forward, I will bring my knight forward. Gives me a good square for the knight. And I can still kick his knight with the pawn. If I just played the knight here immediately, then he had f3 kicking it away. Yep, so he retreated. Let's play against the knight for a while. We'll try to keep that knight from getting any good squares. I guess he could play b5, huh? Yep, he can, but I can play my knight here now. The Jobava attack, that was the name. That was bothering me the whole time. It's called the Jobava attack with the knight on c3 and bishop on f4 with the queen's pawn opening. It's an interesting way to play. I did a video series about the Jobava attack in my opening basics. Obviously, I forgot some of the lines. Yeah, so if I take the pawn now, he can pin it. And I can't easily defend it. So let's bring the bishop out. And then I can step the king to the side. I don't know what the correct strategy is here with regard to my pieces. I'm in general, I'm following that idea that I want to keep the pieces on, even the rooks. But I could have gone for a rook trade. I don't know if that helps me or not, but I'm going to try and... The idea is keep the pieces on and make the game complicated. And don't sell the pieces too cheaply. Like if I could take his knight and win a pawn here, I don't think I would do that. But if I can pick up a pawn without sacrificing any pieces, why not? So he does move for the defense here. I'm going to step aside with the king. As I intended. Maybe the check here would force me to take the knight. But it would also leave his pawn structure in ruin. Well, I don't know if it's any worse than mine, actually, to be honest. So he does kick my knight back after all. Okay, but there's a weakness now. There is a weakness. Where do I want to run to with the knight? Yeah, I was hoping to get out of the way in time to take here, but obviously his queen's defending. I guess back here. So if the knight hops in here with check now, I don't have to take. I can... okay, let's continue to step aside. I think I'm going to bring a rook over to the c-file pretty soon. The knight's defending here, so I don't have to worry about this kind of discovered attack on my h-pawn. Put a rook to the c-file. Threaten to take over here again. So he just moves that pawn forward. I think I will go along with that blockade. Keeps his knight out of these squares. Ah, that was his idea. He wants to get my bishop. Yeah, that was a good piece, I have to admit. So now it's bishop and knight versus queen. But I have a good strong pawn structure for this bishop. Lots of pawns on light squares in the center, 2 pawns on the dark square here. Gives my bishop some perches, looking out to the center. Bishop here is interesting, but he just takes the light squared bishop then. So he's really thinking about whether he wants to take that bishop or not. Maybe he realized it's not as simple as it looks. Ah, he just wants to get more trades. Well, it's true that I can't immediately retreat that bishop still. But he can't maintain the knight there. I mean, he can't maintain the rook there. Yeah, here's a funny sequence. He could go over to the h-file. He could play g5, and he's finally chased away from hitting my bishop. He could come forward to here, or he could take this pawn. Maybe he's thinking about giving up the exchange. Rook takes bishop. Then I would have rook and bishop versus a queen, which is nearly even. If I win the exchange, yes, I'm pretty much back in the game. So he doesn't go for that. He just goes back. Yeah, or maybe he's spending all that time thinking about rook to a or h4. But you know, it doesn't look very promising. Rook h4. There, I want to have mobility with my knight without having to give up that pawn over there on h7. Okay, that's what I wanted. Let's pile up on this pawn. Yeah, I think I can actually win the pawn. Ah, Okay, he wants to counterattack that pawn. Oh, he wants to bring the rooks in. Yeah, he saw the idea I had. There was an unpinning idea. I mean, a pinning idea. Putting the bishop there, taking advantage of the pin against the queen. So he moved the queen away from that pin. Now he has to decide if he wants to defend this pawn or not. The only thing that move did was it defended this pawn, which was a bit weak. I was thinking bishop here is an idea, and it is. Okay, so he wants to play that way. Let's do the check first. Take the pawn first. I take the pawn, he takes here with the pawn. He has to take with a pawn because he doesn't want to give up the queen. My rook can get down to his second rank. Ah, so now he's offering this kind of trade. So I can throw in a check. I can take a rook. And throw in a check. And take this pawn. Have to get the bishop off this file here. I went that way. I guess he wanted to activate his king. Okay, so let's trade off one pair of rooks. Could have saved the rook, but that would have cost me a pawn here. Now I can take or I can push. Taking makes most sense. Pushing, it looks good. It gives me a protected passed pawn, but it's my bishop there, I'm not sure. And once again, if he sacks the exchange, rook takes bishop, rook takes rook. It'll be rook and knight against the queen. I'll have an extra pawn. It's not bad. I am crawling back into this game. Yeah, I'll have two pawns. So bishop, knight, and two pawns for a queen is not such a bad deal. Unless after pawn takes, knight takes, he has some really good move. My bishop is defended, the rook is loose, and the knight is loose, so the queen can find some move that attacks both those pieces or checks and attacks a piece. Where can the queen go? I'll take here. You know, there's also this move. Bishop here attacks the queen and the rook. So rook takes rook, bishop takes queen. I've got two pieces for a rook. So the queen will move, and it has to go somewhere to defend the rook, but it's got places it can go to. And see how the queen can attack the rook or give a check to my king. I may find out. Oh, you know what he can do is he can just attack directly. Yeah. So now I can play this move that attacks the queen and his rook. Queen takes knight, rook takes rook, check. Rook takes rook, bishop takes queen, king takes bishop. It'd be a knight versus a rook, actually. It's not so great. If I had a move that checked the king. Well, this was one idea I had. Just defend the knight there. So a rook on this file would set up a check here. So I go here, it takes the pawn, I play check, the king moves. Can come to these light squares here. Check here. King up, and then he takes this pawn. So where should I go then? I don't have to bring the king up. It was my natural inclination to bring my king closer to the center. Maybe if I just step aside here. The knight has a check now. The bishop has a fork, but, well, that's not defended. Not defended. Here, bishop attacks the queen, and rook attacks the rook. So the queen has to move with check. Because rook takes rook, bishop takes queen is good for me. Queen moves. Oh, the queen defends the rook. The queen doesn't really have to move except along this file, diagonal. Or it could move here with check and then take my rook. Probably even better. So how about if we put the rook over here? Now the check, well, I'm threatening check and take rook. No, his rook is defended. I keep forgetting that part. And also this check. The queen defends against that check too. Push the pawn forward. Then I'm threatening check and take rook. So after the check, the king has to go here. Oh, he's getting another pawn. Yeah, it's the problem with queens. That is the problem with queens. They rampage across the board. On the other hand, I am threatening check and take rook again. Or I just need a knight to cover this square. Then I'd be threatening checkmate. The knight here defends against all the squares the queen can check me, so he actually can't take this pawn. But he's back to even, so now it's just bishop and knight versus queen. he's going to think a while here. Now he gives up the, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Just gives up the exchange now. So like I said, rook and knight against queen is fairly even, but he's messed up all my pawns. And so in an open board position like this, you'd much rather have the queen. Let's see if I can round up his pawns, set up some kind of fortress here. There are still drawing ideas in this position, but I expect him to take here. I'll take here, and he starts pushing this pawn. I can put the rook behind it, but he can take this pawn. And his king and queen are kind of far apart. If they were in forking distance, that would be something to think about too. But yeah, they're not. Okay, I decided to go after that pawn. Yeah, that was a good choice. Take the A pawn instead of the C pawn. Oh no, he took the C pawn anyway. Okay, he has a check here. That's the trick. And my king is on a square where I take here. His queen goes here with the check. Boom. Picks up my rook. So can I move with tempo here somehow? Let's make him think a little bit. Where does he want to go with that king? There. So maybe I'll follow up with the rook here. Put the rook behind the pawn. It's protected by my pawn. And my knight maybe can come in here. Then I could actually take here. Or maybe I'll have a chance to move my king. So there's an interesting sequence here. Say queen takes pawn, rook takes pawn. He's going for it. Then if the queen takes the rook, I have the check here. Take the queen, but then this guy promotes, so it actually doesn't win. I can do the check first. See if he finds a place. Oh, he can take my, of course, he can just take my, just take my rook. I mean, my knight. Not sure what his plan with these checks is. Ah, of course, he was just going to sacrifice. Okay, trade into a winning king and pawn endgame. So anyway, that was an interesting game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, watch out for that trick in the Jobava attack. That's the lesson of that game. See you next time. Bye now.